What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. You could be watching this on YouTube at Ian Soccer Comic Rant Edwards. And if you're watching, like and subscribe, tell your friends, leave some comments, and we'll respond to them. Neil likes to get into it with people under the comments, so you don't want to miss a fresh, long, written battle, pen pal battle with Neil under there. Me too. I just keep it neutral under there. Neil will get at you on Twitter if you add him. However,
People try to drag me out, man. I fall for it every single time.
it's easy to drag you out. Hi, Neil. What you say? It's hilarious. Yeah, you could watch. You could also listen to iTunes, Omni Studio, and All Things Comedy. If you go to All Things Comedy, they have a host of comics, some of the best comics in America, with their own podcasts on different topics besides soccer. Even though I don't know why you'd want to listen to anybody not talk about soccer. I don't have no idea why you'd want to do that, but check them all out. Sponsor is on the apparel.com. I hope I didn't mix up All Things Comedy and on the volley apparel.com, but go to on the volley apparel.com. You get use our promo code Comic Rant, get 20% off. They got tanks, tees, hoodies, and sweatshirts for men and women with hip hop, soccer emblems like collabs on the front of their shirts. And we also have our own t-shirts there. We have 3 types of shirts for Soccer Comic Rant, so you could check those out. Holidays are coming up, get some for somebody. And we got a lot to cover. We had the games on the weekend. We just had Champions League games. And I guess we will talk about some Champions League games that just happened. And I was watching, dumb enough, the PSG-Leipzig game, because you want to see a game with Messi and Neymar and Mbappe versus a decent side named RB Leipzig. But I guess I should have been watching the Liverpool game versus Atletico Madrid, where I guess it's the same amount of goals in the game, but the Leipzig game was kind of weird. It was good, but it wasn't that good, But did any of you get a chance to check out the Atletico Madrid? Well, let me just talk about the Leipzig game. Did anybody see the Leipzig game? PSG?
Yeah, I've caught up with both.
All right. What do you think of that? And why is PSG always have so many injuries in the Champions League in key games? Like Neymar wasn't there today, and I'm assuming, is that because of, was he injured or was that the travel?
I think he was injured because the travel would have only affected him at the weekend, so he should have been back. But I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really read up on it.
Right. I know South American games like affected a lot of teams, like Emi Martinez played, but didn't Messi travel because he played?
I assume so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marquinhos was playing tonight as well, so.
Yeah, so it's weird. So, yeah, honestly, even Emi Martinez plays for Villa. I was just trying to think of like a quick like South American player who, on some games, they said this player didn't play because they were on international duty and they played. So
Silva didn't play over the weekend for us.
Yeah, I think it was more of a weekend thing because the
the international break. Okay.
Yeah, the Brazil game was
Friday night,
late Thursday night, early Friday morning, European time. So, yeah.
What I didn't understand was like Silva put up an Instagram story pretty much saying that he's in quarantine, which made no sense because if it's like, how long a quarantine is it? It's just some nominal 1 or 2 day thing.
Which Silva?
Thiago Silva. Yeah.
So he said he's in quarantine?
Yeah, I mean, he said that over the weekend. I mean, he's back in training now, so I don't know, like, it must have been a very short quarantine, if at all.
Yeah, while they're waiting for a test result or something, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, some stuff is kind of weird. But Neymar didn't play today. Di Maria didn't play today. And it's just like, even when we beat PSG a few years ago, like they didn't have Neymar, and I just remember so many Champions League games where their main guys are missing, and so I have no idea what's going on. But what did you think of the game today, Lee?
It was good. Leipzig, Leipzig are always gonna like put up a fight, even when they played City the other week. They still scored 3 goals. And Nkunku got a hat-trick in that game and they still lost. Right. So I think they need to sort some stuff out defensively, but they're always going to have a go. Mm-hmm. They're always going to try and score some goals, which is a good thing. And they did again today. So they made PSG work for it, but you just saw on the goals, Messi and Mbappe, they're game changers. So the quality showed in the end.
Yeah, they definitely made Pochettino sweat. And Jesse Marsch might get fired because the results aren't that great, but we have to remember that, Leipzig gave away, sold some of Twitter best players to Bayern Munich. And it's like, hey, Jesse, you want this great opportunity, but we're going to make this great opportunity of you coaching in the Bundesliga difficult. We're going to give away 2 of our best players to your rivals. And then you have to play your rival too and lose against them. And then you have to go back you have to play in a group stage against PSG, which Leipzig had chances. They just don't have the finishing quality of a PSG. And it tells me, you could look at the game and say PSG lost, Jesse Marsch is in trouble, or you could look at the game and said, if this coach had better finishers, they could have beat PSG. And does it come down to, like, I feel like the reason why I like Graham Potter is because even though his teams don't have the quality of players as other teams, he gets those players in quality player scoring positions, and they don't finish it. And he's like, oh, that's a good coach. He just needs, players. And people might be mad at Jesse Marsch and be like, he's not good enough. But I think, yeah, they need to work on their defense. But in the beginning of that game, Leipzig created just as many chances as PSG. And if they'd have put those away, it would have been a completely different game. So
no, I agree. Navas had a busy night. He had to.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would still rate Jesse Marsch. I wouldn't hold this against him. Did you get a chance to check that out, Neil? That PSG?
No, I saw the goals later on, but I was a little busy, and then I caught the last part of the Madrid-Liverpool game.
Madrid-Liverpool. So what was your thoughts on the Madrid-Liverpool?
I started seeing it in the second half. So Griezmann got the red card, and seemed like that kind of, from what I was listening to, friends who were watching, is that Liverpool started off really well.
Yeah, they did.
But they got like 2 really good goals. Like the second goal was just a rocket, by Keita. And then Salah, I think Salah, in the kind of form that he is right now, he pretty much can do something out of nothing right now. And but it seemed like it was pretty much Atletico Madrid after that. And it's just a shame that Griezmann got that red card, which I do think was a red card.
Yeah.
One
of the funniest things in the studio when they were talking about it, they showed the highlight, and then Thierry Henry in the studio turned to Jamie Carragher and did the Karate Kid thing.
Oh yeah.
I said, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that was a Karate Kid move completely. I don't know, like some people, it's accidental. He was really looking at. I mean, you should know there's going to be a player somewhere near you.
Yeah. Nobody's going to let you have a free ball.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like, you can just say, oh, I got the ball. Like you can't just do anything on the football pitch and say you got the ball. So, but I mean, he was having a great game. So I think if the red card had not happened, it was kind of interesting that before the game, Klopp kind of made a few snide remarks about Simeone, saying, Simeone's done a great job at Atletico Madrid, but I'm not a big fan of his style. I don't really like that style of play. And lo and behold, Simeone actually, Atletico was the more attacking team in this game. He didn't play typical, Diego Simeone football. So, yeah, I think the red card changed a few things there. And then it allowed Liverpool to get back into the game. And the two penalties right near the end, I thought both were kind of 50-50s.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I feel like the first one was definitely a pen.
Yeah.
The second one, that guy threw himself to the ground.
He did throw himself, but like Jota's hand was holding his, like it wasn't like this. Sometimes players will do this across your arm. It wasn't that. Like his hand was grasping his bicep.
So then how do you get propelled forward if the person is holding you back?
I mean, I understand it was a dive, but like that, Jota was not holding him to make him go towards the goal.
Was it a pen?
So that's what I'm saying. Like it was a 50-50. So I don't really mind, if it goes either way, and especially if the it's just that I didn't understand. Like, what's the on-field called? The penalty?
Yeah, the on-field was a penalty.
Yeah. So then I don't understand how that gets overturned, though.
Because he overturned it. The VAR said, "Hey man, I spoke to Lloyd, right?" And he said, he was telling me, he says, VAR was like, "Hey man, you better come look at this. We're not going to make this call, but you should look at it." And then he looked at it and said, "Oh, this guy flung himself into oncoming traffic. This is suicide. I'm not giving this guy. He conned me like this. He gave the referee had immediate buyer's remorse and pulled the card back. And he should have pulled out a card the same color as that jersey and gave it to the player. I don't know if he did, but yeah. What did you think about those calls, Lee?
The Griezmann one is like it's a red card in the current rules, which you can't argue with that. But I think the rule should be that like a high foot challenge when it's not intentionally trying to hurt someone should only be a yellow in my book, because it's not it's a slight bit of player endangerment, but I think it's natural to have a ball going over you and to turn and put your leg up. But
can I just comment on that part of just that part? It's like it's so tough for the referees to just like interpret the rules anyway, and now they have to interpret like somebody's intent. I would just that's why I would just leave it the way it is.
I wouldn't. Like I said, I don't think there's any, because they can look on VAR now as well and see those things. Like it wasn't like a Nigel de Jong in the World Cup final kind of high foot trying to kick someone in the chest. But like it's dangerous play, but it's not sort of aggressive in any way. So I think a yellow would be more warranted there. But the referee's entitled to send him off based on the rules, so you can't have any arguments with that. I just think there should be a rule change on that. The penalties, I kind of agree. The Liverpool one was a clear penalty, and the Jota one, the one where Jota's fouled the guy, you see them given, you see them not given. So, and obviously all the rest did both tonight. And it was interesting on BT Sport here. They had a ex-referee comment on it, and he said it was a penalty, which was interesting. But I think. I agree that I don't think there was enough contact to make the guy fall like he did.
Right.
I think it was a desperation move. They're 3-2 down. They're trying to get back in the game. Yeah. He's felt some contact, and he's just gone, "I'm going to go for it.
I'm going to act like we're both wearing magnets."
I just find it very funny that it was Jota who was at the receiving. Like he was the guy who got pulled down, and then he's like, if I get pulled down and I just got my team a penalty, the last thing I'm going to be doing is doing the same thing myself. So I think he was very close to giving away a penalty there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely close, but I don't think I think like I was watching some highlights, and it's like there was contact, but contact is not a penalty. You know what I mean?
No, I understand that. It's
not to you. It's just like those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not to you. It's just to those guys. Like on Sports Talk, they were like, let me see if I can find this thing I was looking at just to see what
the contact wasn't enough to stop him from getting onto the ball if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think he could get to it. And it's like, yeah, let's get a penalty out of this. Yeah. It's just the irony of like how similar both calls were. Yeah. And that one, they both were called penalties, but one was pulled back.
The Keita goal was nice though. That was one of those ones where, like, if you ever play football and you hit one like that, you know the moment it leaves your foot, like you've got it nice. But he's starting to look like the guy they paid so much money for now. These last few weeks.
Well, kind of, you know, when you say that, when the moment you hit that, it feels like it's going in. One of those, like I used to do that all the time. No, I'm just kidding. No way. But that's my question. Like every time I see Keita play, I feel like Klopp doesn't have beef with many of his players, but I feel like he has something against Keita because every time I see Keita play, he does something amazing. And I saw him play well in preseason, and the few games that I've seen him play, I've seen him do stuff, like even in the league. And I feel like the other players love him because when he does something, like he scored another worldie, like in the Premier League, I think.
Against Palace, yeah.
Palace, and everybody hugged him, you know. So I can tell the players love him, but like Klopp will rather play Origi, even though it's not the same position, than Keita. He started that kid Elliott. I think is it Elliott that got injured.
Harvey Elliott, yeah.
Harvey Elliott. He'll play the other kid. Is it Inaki Williams? Is that the kid? Like
Curtis Jones, you mean?
Curtis Jones, yeah. So it's like, no,
Nico Williams
Nico Williams, yeah. I was close. I was combining names. Shit.
That's the right back, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, so why? Is there some type of beef between Keita and Klopp? I don't think.
I think so. I think it's just taken him a while to get up to speed. Like he's trusted him in a huge game tonight. And I think he'll be playing more regularly now. He has been slightly recently. There's still a lot of players in that position though at Liverpool. With obviously Milner can play in there, Fabinho, Henderson. Sometimes they play with Firmino and Jota together in the middle, so they sacrifice a centre midfielder by doing that as well.
But that's what makes me feel like he doesn't like him as much, because he'll play Milner, and it's like, yeah, Milner can be good, but I feel like at this stage of his career, Keita is going to be better than an older Milner, and he still starts Milner. And, you know, there's enough injuries in that midfield. Even last year, remember when they had to pull everybody out of midfield and make them play defense? Where was Keita?
I think he had some injuries last season, and also he just wasn't playing well when he did play. It's taken him a while to adjust, but he is looking like this season, like I say, he's starting to look like the player they paid the money for. Like, not even just the goal today, like his overall play was great, his combination play, when he had the ball as well, like working with other players, he was very good today.
All right.
Yeah, I was just looking at his injury history. He missed around 21 games last season due to,
he shouldn't have been
injuries.
Injured. He was just chilling on the bench. How does he even get injured?
I think he's like we're having a similar issue with Pulisic where it's just injury after injury that keeps hampering. And another thing that happens with injuries is that it's not just that you miss out on game time. You also, at that age, miss out on development. Like your growth as a player also constantly keeps getting, it's not reaching where it should have otherwise.
Yeah.
I feel like Klopp but dislikes Keita so much, he doesn't even let him practice. like he'll bring up an academy player and put him in practice. Like this guy can ball, man. It's there. It's obvious. It's evident. Like this, use him. I say use him. It's just weird to me.
I think another thing is that maybe that's changed in the very recent past, but the Liverpool three-man midfield that won them those two back-to-back seasons where they got the game close and then they won.
Right.
That three-man midfield didn't really have a lot of attacking threat, the kind that Naby Keita possesses. So I don't think he was for a while suited to that kind of midfield. I think Klopp is now kind of making his midfield a little more expansive, which is where somebody like Keita is probably more useful.
Yeah, I think he was always good, and maybe it's more what you're saying because of what Klopp prefers, but
Yeah.
I just think he's getting some more of a chance now.
I think it's worth chatting out Alisson for 2 big saves as well, like one in each half, both 1v1 saves where he did really well. Just like kept his position strong and made himself big, and yeah, 2 really good saves.
He's kind of a good goalkeeper, isn't he?
You'd expect so for that money.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the best in the world. Yeah, Alisson is 100% legit. What do you guys think of Diego Simeone not shaking hands and running down the tunnel as if he's trying to catch up with the 3 points he just lost?
Simeone doing Simeone things, isn't it?
This must have been so frustrating for him that he clearly didn't enjoy what Klopp told about him in the press conference, and then he actually goes in, and he must have been, when the second goal got in, he must have been thinking about those 3 points, and I'm going to show it to these guys. And then, because I felt like actually Atletico Madrid played the better football, like as opposed to what Klopp was saying before the game. But I mean, Simeone kind of got vindicated in a way that you cannot play the greatest of games but still come out with the 3 points. But it happened to the other team in this instance.
They had quite a big embrace before the game though. They had like a decent handshake and hug.
Maybe that was a 2-for-1.
They look quite friendly then, and obviously the calls from the ref and something got under his skin during the game.
Yeah, it probably was that penalty. Maybe it was a 2-for-1. It was like this hug at the beginning of the game is also the goodbye at the end of the game. So I'm not trying to.
I mean, Suarez himself wasn't happy about something. So
Suarez is never happy.
The Atletico players, like they were kind of losing it by the end.
Mm-hmm. So they embody the spirit of Simeone. I guess one more question with this game. It has to do with a player, like in England, because he plays in the Premier League. Whenever Mo Salah scores a goal, which he did some amazing, he scored in Champions League. He got 2 today, and midweek had assists and goals, and they're like, he's the best player in the world. Do you all agree with that, or are the pundits like not realizing there's a Benzema out there, not realizing there's a Vinicius Jr. out there, or they ignoring that there's an entire German league with Lewandowski in there? Like, is Mo Salah the best player in the world? We kind of had this discussion.
Yeah.
But
I hate that label, like best player in the world, because it's so subjective.
Mm-hmm.
And it will come down to most people's personal preferences and opinion. Because it is just that, but he's up there right now. Like, you can't deny it. He delivers in big games. He scores goals that other players can't score.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I would never ever say like anyone is definitively the best, because like I say, there's no way to prove it. It's purely subjective. But you saw today, like in the PSG game, like, Messi still got still got a lot to offer as well, and things like that, and some of the players you've listed as well. So, but Salah is definitely part of like the group of best players on the planet at the moment. Like, you can't deny that, the way, the things he does on the field.
Right. It's like sometimes there is a best player in the world, and it's undeniable, and you know who that person is. Like, there was a time when the first Ronaldo, he was just the best player in the world. And there was a time when other players were like the best player in the world, like Zidane at a point. But sometimes there isn't a best player in the world. It's just the way it is. Sometimes it's like this person is good at this and this person is good at this, but they're even amount as effective. I just feel like this is one of those times where there is no best player in the world. There are a few people, like you're saying, that could qualify for that. And it's kind of like maybe a 4-way or 3-way tie.
Yeah, I mean, like, even when we had like Messi and Ronaldo both at their peak, no one could agree on that either.
Right.
Everyone was like, it's Messi, it's Ronaldo. But and that was just personal preference that came down to. But I see what you're saying. Like, when those two were around, they were ahead. They were clearly ahead of everyone else. But that was it's what you're looking at as well, though, because those two were clearly ahead of everyone else in terms of goals and match-winning actions. But like we said before, at the same time, Barca had Xavi and Iniesta, who were world-class in a different way. Not in a way that's going to score 60 goals a season, but in a way that would facilitate someone else scoring 60 goals a season.
Yeah, and I used to watch a lot of those games, and midfielders are my favorite players, but Messi is definitely better than Xavi and Iniesta. And saying that, like, they were fucking amazing. To me, Xavi and Iniesta was having like two Zidanes on your team at the same time. And most teams only have like one Zidane at a time. And I feel like they might have been better than Zidane because they played defensively better. I don't remember anybody going crazy about how defensive Zidane was. And those guys definitely.
Unless you said something about his mum.
Yeah. Then then he'll split your forehead with his forehead. But yeah. Lee, do you have any takes on Neil?
Best player in the world?
Yeah.
I think you can put all these guys, like as he said, I don't mind Salah being in that conversation. I think he's showing that he's doing it at. I mean, if you're doing it, if you're doing that for a title contender in the Premier League, team that's unbeaten in the Champions League, even though I felt they got lucky today, but Salah was one of the guys who actually shone. So, I mean, when you're doing all these things, definitely you are going to be top in that bracket. You said there's like so many other players too, like Benzema. I think what Benzema and Vinicius Junior are doing is right up there. Obviously,
like Ronaldo,
De Bruyne.
I mean, I don't think Vinicius can be
mentioned yet.
Be mentioned yet because you don't become world class due to a few seasons. Everybody else, we're talking about them, but also they've been up there for the last couple of seasons too. So
right, Mbappe. Like if you can't say Salah and then be like, hey, look what Mbappe did today. Look what Mbappe did during international. Winning the Conference Nations League of Champions of whatever the name they might add to it.
Yeah. So I think what is interesting is that everybody was assuming that once the Messi Ronaldo era, well, first off, we don't know if that era is gone. If it's over, we're kind of assuming because I think everybody's kind of sick of it. I definitely want it to be over. I don't want to hear about Messi, Ronaldo. It's just so stupid. Like for a sport to just be dominated by two people for so long. I think I'm ready for some new names up there. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
It's just been too long. But the good thing is that because as growing up, following the sport, there never used to be these kind of just two people.
The eras didn't last that long.
Like Ronaldinho used to do a bunch of crazy things, but then he would go off to nightclub and not be seen for a month or so.
I feel you. The first Ronaldo's reign didn't last that long.
Exactly.
Kaká's reign didn't last that long. Shevchenko's reign didn't last that long.
Exactly.
And you could just keep going down.
Like Batistuta was up there for a while, and then he kind of fell off the map.
Crespo was 2 weeks.
Crespo, yeah.
Like everybody's like,
exactly.
Guys are like, this 15 minutes is turning into the longest 15 minutes. But I don't know, I'm not mad at it, especially since
I'm especially mad at it because it also kind of, I think, set unrealistic standards by which to judge players. Like for a while it became, if you're not putting up Messi, Ronaldo numbers, that you're not good, you're not world class. And I think that itself was a little bit led to a lot of false narratives. I think I'm here for the.
Are you trying to defend Lukaku right now and his scoring drive? Is that what you?
Well, Lukaku, watch out for this. Lukaku might go past Ronaldo's all-time national team goal scoring record if he stays fit.
And that means Chelsea needs to play in red then.
No, but my point is, like, I'm ready for this kind of debates every week,
Right.
every year, having a more like what Benzema is doing, what Salah is doing, De Bruyne is going to add to that. And, hopefully Mbappe, Haaland. What I didn't want is Messi, Ronaldo to be then, supplanted by Mbappe versus Haaland for another decade. Like
That's coming.
that'd be stupid too.
That's coming though.
Yeah, hell, I hope not.
That's
I
inevitable. There's no way you're gonna avoid that. That they have articles pre-written, ready to print. That's going down, bro.
Yeah, maybe, but like I can just say that I don't like that, and I would love for it not to happen.
Yeah, that's what they.
I'd love for more days like today when Haaland had to be a little, humbled a bit.
There's always going to be Ali Frazier, man. That's all. It's a formula. That's what they know.
Yeah,
and that's what they.
I'm hoping there'll be some other players in that mix. So, like, I'm hoping Foden will be in that mix with Mbappe and Haaland as well over the next few years, and maybe someone like Musiala at Bayern or something. Or
I mean, I feel like the next batch of young players, like they're already on the short list for the Ballon d'Or now at like 18, 19, 20, 21. So
Pedri as well, Fati,
Gavi, Fati and Vinicius Jr. Like, if you're 22, you're like old, unless you're Haaland or Mbappe.
Well, the next one off the City production line scored today as well, Cole Palmer.
Palmer,
yeah. We could talk about that too. Like,
it's not that much to talk about. They steamrolled them.
They did what they were supposed. They treated Bruges the way you're supposed to treat Bruges if you're an elite team, and that's basically what happened. It was one of the early 2 games, and Man City just handled their business.
I think Cole Palmer, he did this thing last weekend, or was it the weekend before this? I think it was last weekend where he came on as a sub for Man City, played a couple of minutes, and then went off and scored a hat trick for the under-23s.
Yeah, he played. Yeah, that was before
Same
the international
day?
break.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Same day?
Same day, like within a couple of hours.
I think it was before the international break. I'm not sure. But yeah, I saw the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stone Cold Palmer. That's what they call him. You don't give a fuck.
I've never heard something like that. But yeah, I mean, he's got the frame, of being a Premier League forward. So
he took the goal really well today as well. Classy finish.
Let me ask you, what happened to Dortmund today? Like, how does a top team like Dortmund, like with name brand players, like lose to Ajax? How does Sebastian Haller outshine Haaland? Like,
I haven't seen the.
It's like, go ahead, no.
No, I was just gonna say I haven't seen the game, so I don't really have a lot to contribute.
And
I didn't see it either. I'm just like, I just looking at the score.
I think there's always a chance that a team like Ajax could beat Dortmund, because Ajax are no pushovers. Like, they always, the last few years have put out a competitive team that can give anyone a game. We saw that the season they got to the semis of the Champions League when they beat Real Madrid and things. But
4-0 is the.
I didn't see a 4-0 coming.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm looking at, is the 4-0, not the fact that they can't beat them.
I mean, Daley Blind scored as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like Daley Blind. When you let the guy with a pacemaker in their chest score, like, come on. So since we're kind of talking about Liverpool, let's take Liverpool into the Premier League. And
it looks like, I just want to make a comment because they did concede 4. Looks like Dortmund's defense hasn't really been the greatest this season. I think they're way down in terms of the goals conceded in the Bundesliga. I think they're not even in the top 10
of goals. What
goals conceded?
I think they've had some games where they've won, where they've scored a lot but also conceded a lot as well.
Yeah.
Well, Witzel's supposed to be solid. Bellingham's supposed to be solid. So that's who they had in their midfield, and Brandt. Brant is more of a playmaker. I don't see like
he can play as a winger or as a 10.
Yeah, and he had D. Marlon, who's that Dutch guy?
I mean, they have
John
Hummels
ahead of him. So what?
They have Hummels, who's still plugging along.
Yeah. But I don't.
Maybe it turns out that Sancho was doing all their defending from the front.
Hey man, he's up there in the league in pressures. All right.
I saw that stat.
Yeah. He's the only one pressuring for Man U, and we'll get to that. I just wanted to say something about like Liverpool playing Watford with Ranieri in his first game.
Welcome back.
And it's like, welcome. Oh, you want to come back to the Premier League? And Watford put up less resistance than a glory hole. Like Liverpool just had their way with them. It was like watching a wedding cake get cut. Like it's like what's wedding cakes just stand there and let you just pick whatever slice you want. And Watford was just like and if you look at the score, it was like 5-1, I think, or 5-0. Let me see. I gotta go to it.
Yeah, 0. Yeah,
5-0. And you would think, man, that goalkeeper had a terrible day, but he didn't. Ben Foster actually made some great saves, and his defense, like Danny Rose, it's like, Danny Rose, could you act like you care in front of your brand new coach, and could you not look chubby in yellow? Like, the first goal with Mo Salah, he just like let Mo Salah like roll him and go around him and pass the ball to Mane for Mane's 100th goal. And he made a mistake in the second half and jogged back and just took a nice view of Liverpool scoring against his team off his mistake. And it's like, I felt sorry for him in the Spurs documentary, but Jesus Christ. Like, now
it's a strange game for Ranieri to come back in for, though. And also, Ranieri plays 4-4-2. So to come back in with only a week on the training ground and to throw a new formation at these players playing 4-4-2, against a team that are going to pick you apart all over the pitch, kind of felt a bit like suicide. Like, I mean, losing to Liverpool is no disgrace, but they didn't even make them work for it. It felt like it was just a rollover job, which is worrying. And Watford's fixture list is horrible the next few weeks as well. They've got lots of big teams, so they could find themselves in some real problems.
Yeah, but it's like there was the new manager bounce, non-existent. Maybe the players like their old coach. I forgot to bring this up as a theory of why he got fired, but knowing nothing about Watford and looking at their results up at the table when they did get fired, was this like just some beef between the owners and or whoever's in charge and that manager?
They've got unrealistic expectations. I think given the resources and the situation, he was doing okay. He wasn't doing a great job or wasn't doing a terrible job. He was doing okay. He deserved more time, I think. But it's Watford. Watford fire managers. They're like, Watford are like a dollar store Chelsea.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
They have all the turnover, but very little of the success.
They got this wrong. Well, now they deserve this ass whooping that they got for what they did to their coach. I'm sure he was like home this weekend going, all right, you want to fire me? This must be the most enjoyable Watford match since he got them promoted for him to watch. Like, all right, there you go. That's what you get. But I like Ranieri, and I hope he's successful. And so next week, hopefully he doesn't get fired.
Well, I wish him the worst, because the more teams that are down there struggling, the better it is for us.
Oh, yeah.
I feel you. And as a Man U fan, I should be wishing for the same thing too. The way we're playing. Let's go to Man United versus Leicester. What did you guys? I don't know if you saw it or the thoughts after. I mean, I could talk first. And all right, so as far as this game is concerned, and you know, the good thing about this 4-2 loss is that you could see what the problem with the team is. One of the frustrating things about Man U in the past is like, what is wrong with us? Why are we barely winning, or why are we losing, or why are we dropping points? But now, from this game and the week before, and I said it last week on a podcast, that there is so much space in between our players. Like each opposition member can sit in a massage chair for 5 minutes before they get picked up. Like, we're easy to play through. And you can't be easy to play through. Like, out of possession of the ball, we suck. Like, somebody will get the ball on the opposing team, and Sancho will run 1 mile to press that guy. And when he gets to that guy, there's so many other players open on his team that he passes to that person. And then our next pressing member will run 1 mile to press that person. And it's like, that's not pressing if you're not pressing together. So we need to like press together or play low block. Like, but you have to make a decision. There's this in-between thing we're doing. We're not playing a high line. You know, we play a low block line. So there's just so much space on the field for other teams to like play through us. And I was listening to some other podcasts. Like, I don't know if it's because Ronaldo's not a presser, you know, and fine. But then I listen to the United stand a lot, and they go by the United way when we had so many attackers back in the day. But those attackers were really good, like hungry
athletes. Yeah.
Athletes that like to win the ball back. And we're not winning the ball back. Sometimes you're watching the game and you're like, we're not creating 50-50s. We're not winning 50-50s. We're not winning 60-40s. We just make it too easy. And it's like, maybe based on some of the suggestions that I heard, like the problem isn't like a lot of United fans want an extra attacker. They want one holding midfielder, and they've been begging to like put another player forward.
That was what was in this game, right?
No. We had Pogba and Matic as the holder.
Yeah.
So
no, but Pogba is also an attacking. Can double up as an attacker, right? When he has a goal threat in him.
Yeah, but he's not. That's not his sole role, you know. In the game.
That's true. That's true. I think that's where the issue comes in, because Pogba, if you want to play with one holding midfielder, Pogba has to do both sides of the game. Like, he has to play as the prototype box-to-box midfielder, which means, you know, having an impact in both boxes, which I don't think, like, seeing this game, like, I don't think he does that enough. He loses the ball a little too much for somebody of his size and ability.
Well, I was going to finish. I was saying, instead of that, we might have to put another person behind the ball. We you know, like, we had discussions like this last season. Like, when I questioned, like, I was like, what is Liverpool playing? Are they playing a 3 holding midfielders? You know, which is basically what they were doing. But when they attack, they score so many goals. Nobody questions, like, how many defensive midfielders they're playing. And like, even Man City, like, they turned, when Pep first went to Man City, I was like, this is probably going to fail, because how is he going to make David Silva, Sergio Aguero, and how is he going to turn those guys into, those finesse players and finishers, into like rugged, dogged guys like he had at Barcelona? And he did turn them into that.
I think the thing though with that is that that's something we've spoken about before, is that Ollie's United team doesn't really have a defined identity like some other teams have.
Right.
So you look at like Klopp's Liverpool, it's like, okay, fast attacks, high pressing.
Right.
You look at Pep and it's like, okay, they're going to dominate possession. They're going to counter press aggressively when they lose the ball. things like that. And even when you look at like teams lower down, like even with us, like Hasenhüttl has a style,
right?
And for me, Ollie's never he's never really had a defined like this is how my teams play. It's like, oh, well, 1 week will be like this, 1 week will be like this. And for me, if you're Man United, like especially with me, who like I grew up like watching, you know, the fucking legendary Ferguson teams,
right?
Like United, there needs to be a clear way of you're a big enough club to say, right, we're going to play like this. This is our style. This is how we're going to do things, and it should be identifiable. But it's not at the moment. Like it's just relying on individuals, and just there's no real identity to it. I don't see.
Well, it's actually an identity to it, and the identity is play through us, and we're going to try to attack you. But after we lose the ball, take a shot, and then we'll get the ball back. And so that's not the identity you want. You want the identity where you try to like get the ball back immediately. So he has to commit to like a full press. You have to commit to a high line. Like why Varane wasn't there this week? I think what people were saying from years ago is like they wanted to get rid of Lindelof because we don't have the speed in the back to play a high line. But when Bailly plays, we play a high line. And then even
the gamble to start Maguire backfired.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like
he didn't look ready to play.
Right. So why do you sign Bailly? Like we were nervous, like during last season that Bailly wouldn't re-sign with us, and then there was a sigh of relief when he did. So why do it if you're not gonna play him? He's fast. He's got skill. Yeah, he's got mistakes in him, but so does Maguire have mistakes in him. Yeah. Like, I don't think Maguire...
But he's not fit and he plays like he did, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you could have played a high line and press it. Like, basically, our style kind of fits Newcastle style, which is terrible right now.
I forget Bailly plays for you guys sometimes.
So does Ollie. He has no idea what a Bailly is. The only thing he was concerned about was just signing him and locking him.
You see him like once every 3 months or something. I don't know why he doesn't play more.
Yeah.
I know he's had some injuries as well, but
he can't get injured now because he's not playing.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think our problem is you can't be easy to play through, and there's ways to fix that. And you have to decide on, we going to low block, or are we going to counterattack, or are we going to press and play a high line? Like, is there anything else we could do? You could put 4 men, you can lose an attacker and play them behind the ball, and so have an extra man behind the ball. Also, 2 weeks ago, Fred had fun in Brazil and started telling the media that he's more of a box-to-box midfielder, which we don't need. So even players think different than what they're being told to do. Or is Ali saying, it's cool, try. And Fred does try to go box-to-box. But to be fair, Fred gets back. But he's had a terrible beginning of the season. He's made compared to last season.
I guess at some point, we'll come to the Ollie discussion a little later, but like at some point, whether Pogba and Bruno can play together is going to be the question, because it's clear that you guys have enough wingers, and anyway, it kind of feels like a waste of Pogba's talent for me to put him on the wing. So the only other place he can play is in midfield, and Bruno is playing as the number 10 ahead of him. So there are 2 more spots left. If you want to play Pogba, you are pretty much left with only one other, defensive midfielder type to play with. In which case, Pogba has to do a lot of the work too, because he has to do, simple things like ball carrying, like holding on to the ball, winning fouls for his team, which he can do. Like, he has the frame to be able to do it. Otherwise, I really don't see where... I think that's where the problem comes. The fact that your number 10, Bruno Fernandes, is actually a better worker off the ball than your box-to-box midfielder, Paul Pogba. I think Bruno runs around a lot. Bruno actually, he his off the ball work rate is much higher than Paul Pogba's, and you can't have that, like, because Pogba isn't going to be playing as far high as Bruno is, and that's where you have that gap. And you guys, it's so easy for teams to come at the back four.
I think we need to be more defensive. I think we need to put an extra person back behind the ball so Pogba and whoever's back there has that extra person to pass to.
But then that person is going to play instead of Pogba because you don't have any other spot there.
Nah, because how come it works for France?
Because the other guy next to Pogba there is N'Golo Kante. He's literally two people.
Yeah, but also, listen, you guys, right? Chelsea?
Yeah.
You had 5 people in your midfield. Like, you don't even trust your midfield. You played 5 people in your midfield this weekend, and you guys got worked. You held on by your fingernails.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but I'm saying, like, it's a pattern with United. Like, this whole conversation, I've lost count of how many times you've had this conversation about.
But also, it's becoming a pattern with Chelsea too.
No, not really. I think at Chelsea, it's pretty. There's been 2 games where in fact, we've looked worse.
Name the games. Spurs.
No, City and Brentford. I think we've looked worse when we've added that extra midfielder.
Mm. Also, you've been changing systems recently because he's now playing with the front 2 of Werner and Lukaku.
Yeah,
rather than with Lukaku as the sole 9 and the 2 wingers that would come in and out as 2 10s kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's where we've added that extra midfielder. And I feel like for
why did you add the extra midfielder?
Because it worked really brilliantly against Spurs in that second half when we had Kante, Kovacic, and Jorginho. It worked.
What was happening before? What was happening before you did it? You were getting overrun in the middle.
We are not getting overrun, but we are not having a lot of control. So
it's not overrun?
It's not overrun because it's not like Spurs had a lot of attacks against us either. It was a pretty even game, but we are not able to impose ourselves on the game.
Right. So isn't that the same thing? Like I don't know. I think it's a semantic argument right now. It's like you want control of the game, right? And to get control of the game, you're adding people in the middle and taking away from you. So you're playing. What do you like? You literally had 3 at the back, 5 people across the middle last game.
I mean,
2 of them. What you consider. It depends what you consider as well, because they played with just 2 centre midfielders against City in the Champions League final, and City had the ball, but I would say Chelsea controlled the game because of the way they played that game, which was to play a medium block.
Say the beginning of that again. I lost it.
So control of the game doesn't necessarily mean with the ball all the time. Like I say, the City-Chelsea Champions League final, for me, Chelsea controlled the game, even though City had the ball, because Chelsea dictated where they could go with the ball and what they could do, and they did that with just 2 centre midfielders. They had just 2 in that game.
What was it? What was their lineup then?
Jorginho, Kante, just those.
Yeah, Jorginho and Kante
in the middle,
and then what was after that? So it was a 4.
It was Werner, Havertz, and Mount ahead of them.
Yeah.
But that was with.
And how much was Mount back though? That's the thing.
He was playing in one of those positions where it's like a wide 10 essentially.
Right, but he comes back a lot. It's like that's why they trust.
No, but that's the thing. Like even Bruno does that for United. Like you have to. I think the days are gone where you can just carry passengers in those number 10 positions.
Right,
that's why Mesut doesn't have a career anymore.
But that's my point. It's like we have to place with somebody else behind the ball, somebody less attack-minded. And that's what you guys do. Like you know why the England fans are mad at England? Because they won't let the horses loose. So they play Mount, and they know Mount's, but they want Grealish over there or somebody else more attacking, right?
No, but you guys are playing wingers, right? So I mean, in this scenario, Mason Greenwood or Sancho or Rashford, Martial, whoever plays there, will obviously have to come back and support their fullbacks. But like a similar kind of, but I'm saying like in front of the back 4, Paul, if you're playing, your choice is either to play Paul Pogba or to play an extra purely defensive, less attacking midfielders.
I think what we're misunderstanding each other is we don't even have that extra the guy that you're suggesting that we play.
Probably.
So when you say then Paul Pogba doesn't play, that doesn't register to me because you wouldn't do that. We need to buy two or at least one, but probably two really good midfielders to play with him so that sometimes he can be box to box or just stay with them. But then
With whom? With Pogba?
Yeah, with Pogba, yeah.
I mean, I don't see a place for Pogba because you're talking about a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. You already have Bruno there. If you're talking about three-man midfield, Bruno is not droppable. A holding midfielder of any kind is not droppable. So there's one spot left.
Oh, this is why you're wrong. Yeah. That Bruno's not droppable. And that's the problem. We're looking at players and thinking they're not droppable. When you look at Man City, they've won the league with certain players and they'll drop those players.
But in their best 11, Kevin De Bruyne always gets in.
Not all the time. I've seen him not start. And then
not in their best
Raheem
11.
Sterling scored so many goals for them. He was essential for them winning the league so many times, and they don't mind.
Yeah, but like you're not there.
Let me finish. Bernardo Silva, when they first won the league a bunch of times, like in Pep's second season, like when they barely beat Liverpool by how many points was it? Bernardo Silva every week started. Now they're bringing in Foden, they're bringing in Grealish. And Mara is barely played. Now they're using those guys more. And it's not even bad form. It's like I got to get these guys in and rotate. So to suggest to me that somebody Bruno Fernandes is undroppable, especially sometimes when he plays so much that he's tired.
Oh, I understand that. If you want to play Pogba instead of Bruno, I understand that. I'm just saying they both can't play together in that midfield.
And then I would say
as well, though, like with all the City guys you listed, they all have a very defined role within Pep's system, and that goes back to the identity thing. Like he makes players fit his system,
right?
Whereas at United, I think Ollie is just trying to fit all the players into the team,
right?
Because like at the start of the season when you were blowing teams away, Pogba was playing as a left winger.
I know.
But not the winger, as an inside forward. And then all of a sudden, Ronaldo signs.
Right.
Rashford's fit again. You got Cavani, Greenwood, like all these, the Sancho's now ready to play. And it's like, well, you can't play him there because you're taking away minutes from these other guys. You actually looked more balanced when he played there. And when you had Bruno as a 10 with two holders behind him. But
what I tell you last week, I said, I'm going to say something blasphemous. I think we need some injuries. So you were saying the same thing. You're just saying it way nicer. And Ollie needs to, like, you're saying you can't drop Bruno, but I say you can. And that's how it's going to be tough. But you have to coach this team. You know, it's like sometimes.
It's just that
his lineups over the next few games are going to be interesting because he's essentially put himself in a position now where he's heaped the pressure on, and he knows that maybe 3 or 4 losses in the next few games could be making him sackable. So it'd be interesting to see what he picks now that he knows that shit's very close to hitting the fan.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't be surprised, like it's completely on character for Ollie to go on, and the next game is Liverpool, to go on and beat Liverpool.
Atalanta tomorrow, and then Liverpool.
He might lose to Atalanta and go on and beat Liverpool. Like that's been the theme of Ollie at United.
Here's the thing about Ollie too. He loses games he doesn't have to lose, based on not coaching, picking the lineup. And it's like, so he has losses right now that are weighing on him, that is causing pressure on him, that he didn't have to have. And then when he loses the game, like the League Cup game, he's like, all right, it's just a League Cup game, we don't care. But then if he loses or drop points afterwards, it's like, hey, man, you just lost the game we didn't care about, but now we care about that game because you just lost this game. So it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't lose the games. Like when we started Champions League last season, we won the first 2 games against the 2 best teams in the group. And then he's like, throws this lineup in against, I forgot if it was Shakhtar or the weakest team in the group. And we lost. Young boys. No, not this season.
Oh, Istanbul?
Yeah, I think Istanbul. Like it's like you earned that loss. So he's in trouble now.
He's in trouble, and I like the result that happened over the weekend. When you concede 4 goals to a team that's not doing that well, that's the kind of game that gets you a sack. I'm actually surprised that. I think one reason could be that the board wants to see how this, as I said, like Oli has had a history of doing well when the chips are down against big teams. So maybe that's why the board is like, being a little cautious. And also if you make a managerial change, you've seen United's run over the next couple of weeks. You don't want a new manager to come in facing that run. So, because then not only your decision to sack Oli can look bad, your decision to appoint whoever you appointed can also look bad.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think a better manager would have better results in the next 4 coming games?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's very tough. Like just coming in cold to a team, it's very tough to expect any magic with the run up. So you really want to, let's go down the path of sacking Oli. Just assume that's what's going to happen. You ideally want to sack him before your next round of easy fixtures.
That was the beginning of the season, we did that. that was yeah. They gave him a layup to start the season. Like we haven't played any
of the top teams, and
and now we're about
10 points. Yeah,
like even though we're 2 points behind, you're Chelsea's top of the league.
You're 5 points behind us.
5. Like
I think you're 2 points behind top 4.
Right. Your points are way more valuable than our points.
Yeah.
Right. Because you played.
I think except United, we played the rest of the top 6. Like
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you're top of the league.
Yeah.
So
the thing for me is if Oli gets fired. Mm-hmm. What level of job could he go to next? And I think that says a lot about whether he's good enough for you guys.
Newcastle.
No, if Newcastle want a world-class manager, he's not even close. Or even if they want the tier down.
No, he's a starter manager for Newcastle.
He would be lucky to get a job at like Villa's level, like one of those sort of upper mid-table teams. Like he would.
You don't think you're being harsh? We're talking about a guy who's beat all the top coaches and finished. Listen, you're being harsh because every year he's been there, he's got Champions League spot, Europa League finals, semifinals of FA Cup. He's an upgrade for most teams in the Premier League. He is. And listen, if you look
he's had a lot of resources. I couldn't see
not really.
I couldn't see any other elite club hiring him if he leaves United.
Not really. Like if you look at Man United now, you're like, man, look at our team. But we just got those players. We just got Varane. We just got Sancho. We just got Ronaldo. We had Maguire, Lindelof. He went and got us Wan-Bissaka. Then he built the team too. So then there's value in that too. Like everybody was getting results from Man U before he built the team into the team that should get those results. So,
what other elite club do you think would hire him?
I think
I can't think of a truly elite club at United's level.
He's better than all the last few Spurs coaches besides Pochettino. He won as much as Pochettino. He's like any team that finished below us last year. He's an upgrade for. Except Brandon Rodgers.
I wouldn't want him at our place, and I would happily say that.
All right, I figured you'd feel that way.
I wouldn't take him. I don't know. I don't know what his style is. I don't know what his identity is. I don't know what he brings to the table. Like
you don't know. look at he's in the Champions League every year. He's beat Tuchel in the Champions League.
He's not beat Tuchel, has he?
Yeah, he beat him at PSG.
Oh, okay. At PSG, all right.
I think he beat.
I sometimes forget Tuchel had a career before he came to us.
Yeah. I think he's beat Mourinho. He's beat Pep.
No, I think the thing with Solskjaer is like, I think a lot of clubs are going to be a little wary of the fact that he is a manager who constantly needed a lot of resources, and not a lot of clubs in the Premier League have that sort of ammunition. Like this is a guy who within like, forget this season. This season, I think he spent another 150 million. But even before this season, he spent around 320 million euros. So just over 2 seasons.
His first season, he got Wan-Bissaka and Maguire.
No, there's more. There's more.
And Dan James. Where's Dan James now?
I can look up.
Look it up.
Guys, he got
Neil's going into research mode.
I know.
He got 234 million because he got Bruno in the middle of this season. He got Bruno in the winter.
But let's look at what we had before Bruno. Look at Pereira was a bad Jesse Lingard.
He had Ander Herrera, who's doing great things at PSG.
Yeah, now he is. But Ander Herrera is just starting for PSG on a regular basis. After how long has he been gone over there?
I think if you kept Ander Herrera, you wouldn't have a problem of the DM problem that we keep talking about. I think he would have fixed that issue.
Ander Herrera was probably on his way out before Ali got there because they weren't negotiating. You can't blame the loss of Ander Herrera on Ali. Like
I think Oli leaves United in a slightly better
place
that
slightly. Come on, y'all are tripping.
I mean, you guys finished second with Mourinho in the previous season, before he got fired. So, and that had a lot of.
Are you sure we finished second?
You finished second. I mean, this is still
no. I think we finished
second,
and then the season after we had to win the Europa League to qualify for Champions League.
No, that was the season. Like Jose got fired mid-season, right? That was the time when
2.5 seasons. So go ahead.
So you finished second.
All right.
The next season starts. You finished second under Jose.
What season? The first season or second season?
Okay, that's a good question.
He spent 314 million since he took over.
Well spent. Lee, well spent money.
Telles, Van der Beek.
He's got a
Lee, I don't think you have the right
Van der Beek
numbers.
is a deal.
It's actually 480 million. 468 million euros.
God damn you, Neil. Stop making it the most expensive money.
I'm telling you, what Ole has spent without winning anything is unprecedented in the history of management. Like I'm pretty sure you can even inflate inflate transfer record amounts from way back in the past.
PSG spent $200 and something million on Neymar to win the same shit they've been winning.
Okay, but they won something. That's what I'm saying.
But they were winning that. They didn't win anything without a.
Well, Mourinho can turn around and say that I won 2 trophies. And,
Why wouldn't I be proud of those 2 trophies? It's better than Spurs.
And forget not winning. The fact is that he didn't even come close to a title or the Champions League, which is essentially the whole point. Ole. The whole point of putting in so much money is that you have a team. Fine, you can't guarantee winning, but you should at least come somewhere close.
But here's the thing, bro. I think you know how stats work. So he comes to Man U, right? Mm-hmm. You need to look at our squad before he got there, right? And see what we needed. And it's like Chelsea. Here's the problem with Man United. that money that Ollie spent, we should have spent all that shit at the same time. We shouldn't have been like 200 here and then the next 200 there. Like what
That's
you guys
a lot
did,
of 200. Like the 200 number is pretty big.
but listen,
actual fair play probably stops you from doing that.
Yeah, right, exactly. But it didn't stop Man City. It didn't stop, and then Chelsea. Like you spent all the money, pretty much.
We spent 247 million. That's it.
That's a lot of money, but you spent it.
But you guys are spending.
The difference is, Tuchel did more in 6 months than Ollie has done in his whole time.
Right, but
By the way,
here's the thing.
Ollie spent 234 million in one season. Chelsea, that big spending you're talking about, was 247 million.
Right,
so that's a difference of 13 million.
But listen, like I said before, you guys are looking at like numbers as opposed to like positions.
Filling all the gaps.
Filling all the gaps.
I feel
yeah. So if you want to ignore the gaps, then you can win this argument. But football is about filling in all the gaps, not just all about money. And we didn't fill in all the gaps. Even though we spent all that money, everybody in the world knows we need a CDM. And we would have got to see. So here's another problem I have with the United fans, right? It's like, so Ronaldo is about to go to City, right? We need a CDM. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry to see him go to Man City, but we don't need Ronaldo. But all the fans are like, oh, I can't believe this is gonna happen. I will never, the legend is, fuck him, kill his mother, kill his children, kill his wife. And then we pull it off, right? And then everybody's ecstatic. And then now we're like, I can't believe we didn't get a CDM. That was the CDM money. So they like Ollie out. He saved Ronaldo from going to Man City. He like, it's like our fans, just all fans, period. Sometimes, like when I look at, this is something I want to say. When I look at Barcelona, right? I'm looking at Barcelona. They won this weekend, right? And but the fans want Koeman gone. But in clear, and I said this, in clear, realizing that they had a cycle that was one of the best cycles in the history of club football. And they had the best players in all the positions. And that cycle has to end. Like one of the best players in the world ever, might have been the best player in the world ever, you lost him after, he's not playing for you no more. And it was a last minute thing. And then you lost Griezmann, you lost Suarez, and you have all these youth. And you're like, these results are unacceptable, ignoring the fact that your whole forward line is gone and that these are 18 and 17-year-olds. But you want the same results as this legendary team that hasn't existed in the hundreds of years that you've been in existence. Why don't you, as a Barcelona fan, enjoy the journey of these young players growing up into the players that they're gonna be, as opposed to we want to win? And like, it's just pretty unrealistic. And Koeman's probably gonna get fired, but does he deserve to be? Not really. He's bringing up the next group of young players who are gonna make Barcelona, give Barcelona their next victorious cycle. He's giving you Gavi. He has the balls to give you Gavi, Pedri, play De Jong, and Ansu Fati. Ansu Fati is like 17 years old. They're not going to win you games every week. Like, come on. What do fans want?
I think fans want what they're used to. Sadly, that's
they're spoiled.
Sometimes fans can be a little spoiled. I think the thing with United is that it's been so long, and finally now everybody feels like you have a team, you have a squad that is capable of winning. And to see what's happening right now with the points that have been dropped even before facing any of the really, the traditionally big six teams, it was going to always cause a lot of panic. I still don't think that it's going to lead to a change though anytime soon, because fixtures are going to keep coming in thick and fast. So it's very tough to make a managerial change at this point.
Maybe. We'll see.
What do you think should happen? Do you think, for you, is it time?
Let me tell you. For me, no matter what, say, you keep Ollie or you lose Ollie, we need a CDM. I told you this at the beginning of the season. Like, we need a CDM. We need one. Speaking of CDMs, how could they accuse Basuma of so Basuma wasn't arrested because he was in the lineup for Brighton Hove this weekend. He didn't start.
I think he was questioned but not charged.
Right, so we have to clear that up. I don't even we brought that up on the show, but I guess he's good. He's good. He was on the sideline, so I was happy to see that.
I'm not sure. Mendy played for Man City, even though he'd been arrested.
Right, but he's
That's true.
But the last thing I read was he was locked up, but he's and I don't think the team would let him be there if. But so Neil, to answer your question. No matter who we get there, if we get a good manager, he's going to be like, hey, man, where the CDMs at? So that's just...
No, of course, whichever manager you get.
Or
the coming summer, he will, or maybe even January, he will be given the funds to go by who he feels is the vacancy or is the hole to plug.
Basuma, I wouldn't make any decisions soon. He was arrested. He's been granted bail until November 3rd.
Right, but that's a good sign, right?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
It just means innocent until proven guilty. So he'll get a chance to make his case. And I don't know any details of the case, so it's hard to say one way or the other, to be honest. So
yeah, the last thing you want is all the United CDM discussions next season to also involve a chapter on the court system in England.
Right.
You don't want to have to discuss that at the same time.
Yeah. No, I was just bringing them up because we spoke about it before as a potential. But
do you think it's time for Ollie to go? That's my question, though.
I'll know after this series of games because, like you said, last season he lost to teams we should have beat, and then he had to face the top 6 and ran through them. And got points, and then kept it going for a minute, and then we had the undefeated away streak that just ended this weekend, and so this is what Ollie needs to do. He has to do what Pep did. I think when Pep went to City, he had players that he normally wouldn't have in positions that he normally had them, and he converted them to play the way he wanted them to play. Like you just said earlier, one of you just said, and Ollie needs to be like, hey, motherfuckers, y'all got to play. And then sometimes you put people on the bench, and then sometimes you bring people off the bench. Sometimes you don't start people, and sometimes you do. We'll have an overwhelming amount of attackers, and I think he's trying to fit them all on, as many of them on the field as possible, and it's too many. Like in the Premier League, you have to defend, and you have to win by 1 goal sometimes.
And some of those attackers need to defend too, because the assumption is that Ronaldo is not going to do any pressing. So everybody around him has to double up their efforts if you want to play with Ronaldo.
And that's what I was saying. Like Pep made some of those attackers be pretty good defenders when he first got to City. It took him a year, but you have to do it or you're going to get fired.
Do you think he has a chance of getting fired if you lose heavily to Liverpool? Because I think he could sustain like a 2-1 loss to Liverpool or something, but if they turn up and beat you badly, like that's one the fans will find it hard to stomach, I think.
I mean, listen, some of the fans, we've won games this year where they're like Ollie out. So you don't need a bad defeat to Liverpool for the people who want Ollie out to be Ollie out. I don't want to lose to Liverpool, period. And I feel like, especially like this game last week could be a good moment to and Gary Neville was kind of saying like a team talk. Like I like what Pogba was saying during his post-game match, because sometimes when you watch your team struggle, you're like, do they know that they have this issue? Or is it just us from the outside know that they have this issue? And Pogba's post-game interview let me know that he clearly sees the same issue that we, the fans, see. So now that an acknowledgement of your issue is the first thing to fixing that issue. So I'm glad that everybody's aware within the team. So let's see what they do. So we'll see what's up. But I don't want to hog up the time on Man U. We already did that. Lee, you're a Southampton fan, and you had your first win of the season. And let's, we need some Southampton time, and which also includes talk of Chelsea players. So it's a twofer.
I like to think that it was a nice coincidence that it was the first game that I got to go to this season.
Oh yeah, and you were at the game. Yeah. Hilarious. Good luck.
No, we were getting live updates from the ground. We had boots on the ground.
Yeah, boots on the ground.
Yeah, it was a good atmosphere as well. Like there could have been some negativity around because we hadn't won a game this season, but everyone was behind the team. I think everyone appreciates the team had been playing well. Mm-hmm. We were missing some guys for this game though. Like Ward-Prowse started the first of a 3-game ban for the Red against Chelsea. Shea Adams is injured. We've got a couple other injuries in the team, like Jack Stevens is out. But I mean, whatever position we were in, I think Leeds were in a worse position. When I saw the Leeds team announced, like immediately everyone in the stadium was like, this could be the day. Like, no Rafinha, no Bamford, no Phillips. We were like, if we can't get something today, then we might have a problem. And we dominated Leeds as well. Like the whole game was like they had a couple of counterattacks that looked dangerous. Like Dan James obviously has some pace, but we kept them in their half like the whole game. We put the pressure on. We should have scored more. 1-0 was flattering to Leeds. Obviously great to see Brozier go ahead and score his first goal in the Premier League. So that was great. And I thought he was going to have a good day. When I saw him in the starting lineup, I'm like, this guy's going to be hungry. Yeah. And he was, like the whole game, he led the line well, he held the ball up. We had Redmond playing as a forward, but he went and roamed around the pitch, helping create little overloads in wide areas and dropping in to get the ball in midfield as well, which was good. Salisu, for me, I don't know I think he could be one of these guys that we end up selling for big money in the next couple of years. Because he got player of the game. He was a monster. Like, he won everything in the air. He won everything on the ground. His play with the ball was great. He ran out from the back with the ball, just handing people off like a rugby player. He's like a Traore of the centre backs. So he was fantastic. So yeah, it was a good game to watch. Like there was no real criticisms apart from we should have been more clinical and finished them off a bit more. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Leeds do when they get their players back. Because they're not looking themselves this season, but I mean that's none of my concern. We've got 3 points. I'm happy. We got Burnley this weekend, so we need to just keep it going. And if we can beat them, then we're looking okay, I think. But hopefully we don't slip back again.
Yeah, congrats on the win. I just watched the highlights of it too, right before the show, and it was just all Southampton. You guys had 19 shots to 3 shots. Now only 5 of them was on target, but 19 shots for Southampton. Shit, you don't get that in 3 games from Southampton.
Yeah, but we still needed to finish them though. Like it was good to see us actually creating lots of good chances, because in some of the previous games we hadn't really given the front players much service.
Right.
But I'd said previously, when we play with Adams and Armstrong as a front two, they just both play like centre forwards. But because we had Redmond playing in the front two this time, he went and helped out in the midfield and got on the ball in areas that gave us something different. Right. So that was nice to see. I hope that continues in the next game, because Redmond's frustrating. He's great one game and then he goes missing for 2 games. That's why he's at a club like us and not a bigger club. So yeah, hopefully he can get some consistency.
I feel like Jenna Pro is like that. He's
he's
great
the same.
one, but not one game and then the next game he's different. Like one play, good play, one play, bad play. Like he's inconsistent during the game.
Yeah.
And then Neil, let's talk about your escape from Brentford. It was like the escape from New York, that old movie.
Yeah. I must say though that just touch upon the Southampton game. Like Southampton, these are my favorite teams right now, apart from Chelsea in the Premier League. Leeds, Watford, Southampton. I think Palace are going to be fine. Like I want these teams to escape relegation so that we have the richest club of all time in Championship next season. I think that's a very realistic possibility.
And you talk about Newcastle?
Also,
yeah.
Before we move on, I forgot to mention for Neil as well, Livramento was faultless the whole game. Superb. Like we are not going to have him long either.
Yeah. He's the thing that worries me about Livramento is we have a release clause. A buyback clause that gets activated only from the summer after the next. Mm-hmm. I'm worried. What if some big money club comes in this summer itself? Newcastle. I don't think Livramento is going to play in the Championship. Like he's gone past that level now.
Yeah. My response to that is if with no money, and we have to talk about Newcastle, with no money, Steve Bruce finished 13th and 12th. With money, there's no way he's getting relegated.
Well, there's 0 wins in 8. They might be 0 wins in 19. And then, you can add whoever you want to add.
That's Newcastle, though. That's how they roll. And then they pick it up. The problem with Newcastle now is the players know the coach is gone. So it's tough to play for a coach who's gone. So I think Newcastle should they gave Steve Bruce the 1,000th game in the Premier League.
It looks like Eddie Howe is being linked, Another manager the last time we saw him in the Premier League he was being relegated. So
a bunch of his players are over there.
Yeah,
he's got Fraser there, and
it'll be interesting.
Yeah. So it's like joining Bournemouth with black stripes.
He doesn't want to move from Bournemouth though, or from the south. I don't think he'll go.
So what is he going to do?
That's going to be so cold for him.
What's he going to? There's Man City. None of the big clubs are going to move to Bournemouth. If he gets the England job, England is not going to move to Bournemouth. So
he's waiting for the Southampton job. Apparently, that is a legit story. That he's waiting for our job because he's like the place he lives.
But he's going to take the Newcastle job if he gets it, right? Like with all the money, whatever.
We'll see.
They'll build him a Bournemouth, a town just like Bournemouth in the middle of Newcastle, so he feels at home. They got the money.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that what the Qataris are doing for the World Cup? Like they're building air-conditioned cities. So I'm pretty sure they can build a warm, a warm couple of 100 acres for Eddie Howe to wallow in.
Bournemouth has an airport, like a legit airport. So maybe they'll just like buy him like a Learjet or something.
Yeah.
Right. Or just give him one of theirs. And gas is free. We own it. It's our gas. Just use our card.
He'll just be getting private jet to training, private jet home.
Yeah. And then since we're talking about Newcastle, before we go to the Chelsea thing, that was a funny game to watch. To see like the new owner bounce in the first 5 minutes of the game, and then Spurs just score the next 4 goals, including an own goal, and win 3-2. That's pretty funny. But yeah, I think Newcastle should just get a good interim coach who thinks he's going to be the coach to get them through the rest of the season until.
I mean, what level of coaches they get. They can have all the money in the world, but realistically, if you look at it, they are not going to get Champions League football next season.
Right.
And they're not going to get Champions League football the season after that. So top four, I don't think is happening in the next 2 seasons. So when it comes to the caliber of players or manager they're going to be able to attract, we are talking about players or managers who are going to be okay to not have Champions League football for the next 2 seasons.
But there are better managers than Steve Bruce.
No, I understand. But I think all the initial talk about a Zidane or a Conte, I think we can say goodbye to that for a while.
Yeah, but there's better managers. And then you can, there's players out there that, nobody heard of a Saint Maximum until Newcastle brought him. There's players out there that could improve that team that are better, so, and they can get them in this window to guarantee that they don't go down. And then they just take it from there.
Like a Tarkowski.
Even better, man. I mean,
the best thing they could do is hire a decent director of football who dictates the transfer strategy. So they're not just spending money on all these random guys.
Yeah, true.
They need something coherent, something planned, and then hire a manager who fits the same philosophy as the players they're buying, so that there's an actual plan there, and it's not just some, money all over the place shit show with no real direction, which, could happen.
Do they have a director of football now, or are they using the old one from?
I'm not sure. Definitely, they haven't brought anyone in, but I don't know if there's anyone in that position there at the moment.
Steve Bruce, I think he's everything there. I don't think they have a different position for director of football.
Listen, you're hating right now because you're not. You're pecking orders, being financially one of the richest teams in the league, just slipped a notch. So
I mean that's true. And
then you almost got moneyballed by one of the poorest teams in the league.
Oh my god! Yeah.
How did you?
Newcastle should hire whoever does Brentford's strategy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's it.
Had their manager too. Like that guy is legit.
Yeah, he's legit. Like it's funny when they were playing you, like they tried to overload on one side of the field, but it was the opposite side of the field that they overloaded against Liverpool and got those goals from. But they switched they didn't switch what they were doing, but they just switched sides.
They were smart. They knew who they were targeting because I mean, we played I think this is the most inexperienced Chelsea defense we've played in ages with Rudiger and Silva out. So we had Malang Sarr, who was making his debut, who I was really intrigued to see because, we've seen him once in a cup game, but I saw him once in a preseason game and he was so horrible. I was like this, I can't believe we gave a contract to this guy. But, if you look at his track record, this is a guy who at the age of 21, 22 has already played 4 or 5 seasons of, Ligue 1 football. So he's not like just some kid who's not had any football. So, I mean, it's just that, when you get somebody on a free transfer and you haven't really seen him play, and the few times you see him play, he's trash. It just looks really bad. But I thought he overall had a good game. Yeah. But just the combination of Christensen, Chalobah, and Sarr, I think they did most things right for the first 70, 72 minutes. It's just that Brentford switched up their and that's, I think, the biggest compliment, like, to their manager. When you see you have such little time left in the game. So they did a few things. They put one guy on Loftus-Cheek, who was our best player till then, and completely nullified him. And that basically meant, so they nullified Loftus-Cheek, who was having a lot of joy in the middle of the park, bodying players around, winning fouls, like not, completely letting Chelsea control the tempo of the game, even though we're not doing a lot up front with the possession. But they nullified Loftus-Cheek and they just started like chipping the ball over the top. And our back three was doing a decent job of clearing them. But you could see the lack of experience where if it's Rudiger or Silva, their clearances usually lead to a turnover that, is a period of play in our possession. These guys are kind of like clearing it, just like getting rid of the ball. So what was happening was it was just another wave of attack right after. So even if you're clearing it and this is the most amazing spell of throw-ins I've ever seen. Like these throw-ins, each one of them was like a free kick straight into the ball, into the box. So yeah, like I really don't know. It felt like 2012 Chelsea surviving against Barcelona in the second leg of the semi-finals.
A man down.
A man down, yeah. It's kind of how it felt like. But I think
Mendy was world class as well.
Yeah. Mendy was, I think the thing with Mendy is like ever since he's been there, he's been really solid. But the defense has been really good, so it doesn't give him a lot of opportunities to shine in a way that.
Are you sure? Because I feel like he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I'm not based on this week. I've just seen him made some game-winning saves. That like if he didn't make that save, first of all, not a lot of people can make those type of saves, and he's proved to me for what 30 mil,
22 mil. Yeah,
he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world.
No, you're right. Like even the stuff that he did in the Champions League. I'm just saying there's not been that many volume of it in the same game.
Right.
So it doesn't really catch the eye that much. But yeah, this game it was like he just told them that, yeah, do whatever you want to do. Like how he stopped that last bicycle kick, which was very close range. You don't really know where it's gonna go, and there's power behind the shot. It's very tough to like stop those.
Yeah, the reactions were incredible, and the one that he stopped with his head as well, the 1v1 where he just made himself big and. Like,
was that the one that went and then Chalobah came out of nowhere to make a goal line clearance?
Yeah, on the rebound.
Yeah, Chalobah saved that one on the line.
Yeah, because
let me turn on my light.
Yeah. Like he wasn't even in the frame. Chalobah wasn't even in the frame when the play was happening. But then he somehow had the presence of mind to come back, which is why I kind of feel like I don't like centre backs who spend, when they're in the box, they're just like ball watching. You kind of have to think a player or two ahead to, what can happen. And, Chalobah did that perfectly. There was only one way to stop that goal, and he hit every single beat along the way to save it. So. Yeah, Chilwell had another good game. He got us the goal. Our wing backs are literally saving our bacon these couple of games. But yeah, a couple of worrying signs with what's happening up front. I don't think we are not fluid enough. We have a couple of technically easier games. So hopefully, I really want to have a few games where we're scoring a lot of goals. And settle down some nerves there. Yeah, but yeah, Brentford was really, really good. That Tommy guy looks like somebody who, well, a lot of clubs are gonna probably come in for him soon enough. Yeah. What other games? So we touched upon Spurs and Newcastle. Did you guys see the Wolves comeback?
Yeah, that was crazy. Villa threw that away as well. They were just bad on set pieces.
Yeah.
Like Wolves fought till the end, but Villa also handed it to them, I thought.
Yeah, that was... the 80th minute, I thought the game was done. It was happening around the same time. But yeah, Wolves... I don't know where they are on the table right now. Let me take a look. They're in the top 10. Yeah, Palace had a good had a good game, but didn't really get across the line.
Oh, the thing I wanted to say about the Palace game was this was a great audition for Patrick Vieira. For the team that he's going to eventually end up coaching against the players he's going to eventually end up coaching.
Yeah. He's got. I like the way he's got Palace playing. They're a lot more expansive and a lot more aggressive out of possession than they were under Hodgson. Like they were pressing Arsenal, like they were, getting in their faces. It was a fun game to watch, that one.
Yeah, it's good to see a coach that doesn't have. It's like he's in the Jesse Marsh situation or the Graham Potter situation where you don't have these classic nines and finishers, but they're creating the chances for if they had those players, they'd be.
Well, Edouard looks all right.
Yeah. But he's not like consistent or anything, and he's like, I think he's new in the league.
Yeah.
So, but he's getting the chances to become like a regular scorer. I don't know what he's going to end up being, but
Palace has still got Eze to come back as well when he's recovered.
Yes, their best player is not there. Yeah, and then Benteke, to get anything out of Benteke is just it's a feat, And Zaha didn't play.
Yeah, the guy they signed from the Championship from Reading, Olise, he had a good game as well.
Right.
And obviously you got Gallagher in the mix too. So yeah, they're looking okay.
Yeah. So it's like, and I think the fans are like excited to see their team play every week. So that adds more enthusiasm, and just to see a former legend as a player and a black coach, like coaching in a modern way, and it just opens the door and gives hope to like more, like black coaches. So I want Viera to win, not against us, but I want him to like win. But he's going to present problems to teams.
Yeah.
So, anybody else got any last words? Like what we got coming up this weekend?
We got Liverpool United. That's the biggest game, Might be Ollie's last game.
It won't be
if he's not already sacked after Atlanta.
Hilarious. You're such an Ollie outer. You should be Ollie in because it just helps Chelsea win the league.
I know. I'm not. I trust Ollie to take some points off Liverpool.
Yeah, you should be rooting for us.
Yeah.
So this is weird. So Ollie out.
I'm not Ollie out. I'm just saying that the way that game happened, like those are typically the kind of games where people lose their patience. With 4 goals conceded.
Yeah. People did lose their patience.
It kind of did have a feeling of you've kind of reached a point of no return.
Not really. People just, Man U fans just, they want to win some shit.
Beat Liverpool at the weekend and then all is
all is forgotten. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. That's how fair weather this thing is. Yeah. Who you got this weekend, Lee?
Burnley at home.
Burnley at home.
Yeah, so we need another win really to keep the momentum going and start moving up the table. But we'll see. Burnley, they won't be easy. They'll fight. They'll scrap.
Mm-hmm. They played. They lost to City this weekend. They played 4-5-1. They loaded their midfield.
They had a couple of chances though. The guy they bought from Lyon looks good. Maxwell Cornet. He looks decent. So
yeah, he played like a fake. He played. They kind of had 2 up front. Like he would just act as the second attacker sometimes, and then drop back into midfield for their 5. But yeah. And who does Chelsea got? Norwich. Oh man, you got a red carpet to 3 points.
But we also have, before the next time we speak, we have Southampton in the League Cup.
Well, who you got tomorrow?
We got Malmo.
Oh, Jesus Christ. These wins.
So
you
Malmo,
have like...
then Norwich, then us.
You got like a red carpet with rose petals on it and grapes at the end, and someone to feed you those grapes in your next 3 games.
Well, we got Newcastle after that.
So 4 games.
And then we have Malmo again.
So 5 games.
And then Burnley.
I say if 6 games. So if Tuchel lose any of those games, he should be fired.
Well, we already know Martin's going to be saying that.
If he drops 1 point from any of those games, Tuchel out. I'm too.
He might play some reserves against us in the cup, so that might be that's one they don't really care about.
If he makes an Ollie mistake, Tuchel out.
Yes. I mean, I'm pretty sure Martin's going to be saying that day.
Yeah, it feels like you walked up to the Red Sea and it got parted, and you swam through the first part, survived, and then it parted, and now you're like these next few games is like you just have a wall of water on each side, and it's just like just take a stroll.
I mean, we have issues, in attack and fluidity in attack, so we definitely can do with a little bit of a breather in terms of, but if we have a problem in breaking down teams, it might come back to hurt us even in these games. So
yeah, well, you could practice. These are practice games.
Yeah,
these are preseason games in the middle of the goddamn season. So congrats. And tomorrow we have Atalanta. Let's hope we beat them. And then who else is playing tomorrow for Champions League? Let's just go through that real quick.
Chelsea, Malmo.
I mean, is that even a game? Why do you have to even play it? Can they just give you the points?
I don't see any of the big games though. Yeah, everybody. It's pretty much. Lille Sevilla is pretty much,
right.
And then Barcelona, Dynamo Kiev is a big game. For Barcelona.
For Barcelona,
you never know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they just won in the league, but these kids are so young and inexperienced. Can they win 2 games in a row? But the good thing is it looks like it's at Barcelona, so they don't have to travel. And it's just like they're going to be inconsistent. But they got Sergio Aguero back. They got Jordi Alba back. Like Barcelona got a lot of players back this week. Like, like they were able to like substitute the way they were supposed to substitute. The same thing with Arsenal versus Crystal Palace this week. It's like Arsenal got to start their starters and substitute in their substitute as opposed to start their substitutes. So Barcelona should be getting better.
I think Benfica Bayern will be a fun game.
Did Benfica win the Portuguese league last season?
I'm not sure, but they're in the Champions League and they beat Barca, so they'll give it a good go against. I think they're top of the Portuguese league at the moment. They're in really good form.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, them against Bayern will be a good game. Bayern should win, but you never know.
Right. What about Young Boys Villarreal?
Nah, no one cares.
I mean, Man U cares.
Yeah, no one cares.
No one cares. Wolfsburg. Yeah, it's let me see. I watched the Barcelona game because it's at 9:45 as opposed to Wolfsburg versus Salzburg, and then I'll definitely watch the Atalanta versus United game and check out the results of the other games tomorrow. All right. And any last words, Neil? Top of the league, Neil?
No, not much for me.
So
at Sawyer's Lawyer on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, that's about it.
And what about your Lukaku crisis?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a worry because I actually feel he didn't have a good game versus Brentford. I've been cutting him some slack some of the other games because there's not a lot of service, but I think he had a couple of chances here that he could have done better with. But
how much money did you pay for him again?
100 million.
Ooh, how many goals?
4 goals.
That's not bad. In all competitions or just the Premier League?
3 in the league, 1 Champions League.
I mean, there's some defenders that got more goals than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alonso.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then if you give Chilwell a run, he'll get
yeah. Well, the defenders have got 8 out of 16. Well, if you count wingbacks as defenders, they got 8 out of 16 goals that he scored.
So he's just playing like a Chelsea forward. Like he's playing like the other Chelsea forwards, like Havertz, like Timo Werner. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, we might have managed to pull his aptitude down. He's doing all those bad things. Like he scored twice in 2 games. He scored offside goals. So we pretty used to seeing that from our strikers.
All right. Well, good luck with them. Lee, what you got?
No, like I say, just hope we can carry on the wins, get up the table. I'm not expecting much this season, but yeah, and then see if we can do anything against Nils boys in the League Cup.
All right. And for me, want to thank Aaron Brungard. I'll be at the Brea Improv this Saturday night. There's a 9:30 show. I'll be headlining that. And one love, and take care of each other. And I guess we'll see you all next week. It's dark, and I realize that, and I need to start using my ring light or podcasting from the room that the ring light is in. There's daylight saving time is running out of time, so my bad. But it's too late to move everything around. So you'll see me better next week as I fade into the darkness. So peace, y'all. One.